Hey guys, welcome back to Final Sector. And hey, I don't know why I have so much energy because we're doing a preview for a bloody sprint weekend where we shouldn't have a bloody sprint weekend. We're going to Qatar.
Yep.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you for the debrief. Look, this is an unproven place. Other political issues aside, which we're not going to get into because if you want to, everyone else covers that enough.
Yep.
We're just going to focus on the F1, right? Because it's here. We're going to chat about it. We're talking about every other event. We're nearly there. We're going to do it all. We promised. We're going to make it. I'm not going to end up in hospital or anything. But we are heading into Qatar, which is an interesting weekend. We do have a sprint. We do have a possible championship win happening in a sprint, which is weird.
It seems pretty certain.
It does not seem like Max is going to win a title normally. It's either going to be in controversy, it's either going to be no one knows if he's actually won it, or it's going to be in a sprint.
On a Saturday.
So,
Yep.
So he's not going to turn up for the Sunday, and they're going to put Lawson in the Red Bull to see how he does.
Nice.
So
We'll throw Ricardo straight in the Red Bull, Lawson there. Yeah. Everyone's happy.
Yeah. So there's a bit going on here, as we say. We've got a sprint going on. We've got a Max who's very likely to take it in that sprint, or if not, then in the main race. Look, he has to have a disaster of a weekend to not win it here, and it is almost inevitable that he will.
Yeah, it's a formality, basically. Yeah.
Yes, it is. But there's also still a bit to talk about here, so I guess we will, not waste going into it. So I think this is only our 4th of 6 sprint weekends that we have. We still have 2 more remaining.
Yeah, we've got one immediately after this at the US, and then Brazil. No.
Is it Brazil or the finale they do one?
It could be Abu Dhabi. One or the other. I just know that we've got back-to-back sprint weekends. So.
Brazil, they've often done it. So if you know it's back-to-back, I'd say it's Brazil, but we shall find out eventually. Look, it still is a sprint weekend. I think we've liked the last few. The fact that the grid is so close, and I mean, we'll get into it with our sprint predictions. I don't know what the bloody hell to think here because it's a track. Yes, we have been to it, but that was a track that had all sorts going on at the time. It had failures. It had cars getting podiums that shouldn't. It was in the title fight, so I guess we weren't really focusing on anyone else except the top 2 anyway at that point. So I was kind of doing a bit of thinking, going, it's really hard to know outside of Max. You feel like this is actually a really good Red Bull track, so I don't think we even need to go into that. But outside of that Red Bull, it's hard to say who's going to be strong here. We did have those tyre failures in the past. It does look like, even though it's a night race, it's going to be very hot. They are using the very hard tyres to try and counteract that. It's kind of a medium-high speed kind of track with a lot of fast-flowing corners. And when I'm thinking who's going to be good here, it's hard to say because you go, well, the McLaren's on such a streak, but maybe this isn't their track, but then who knows what's their track? The Ferrari could be strong here, but they could also bollocks it and be nowhere. The Mercedes still has a question mark. You feel like they're due a day to really smash it out of the park. Could it be Aston returning? Hey, they liked tracks like this in the past. Maybe they could finally find something here. What do you think? What do you without giving away too much maybe later on. I don't know what to think here.
I mean, to go back to, obviously, we've only had the one race back in 2021. We took a break for the Qatar World Cup. So, which is why we weren't here last year. But, I went back and watched the highlights for that race because I was adamant, recording at the end of the Japanese preview, I was adamant nothing happened in that race.
Yes.
I was mostly right in the sense that there was no racing happened. The race was no one could follow and overtake anywhere on the track, and it was just overtake with DRS on the straight. Every overtake was that. There were a few blowouts because a few teams decided, hey, we're going to one-stop, despite Pirelli saying it's not a one-stop race. And they went one-stop and had tire
They called
failures.
The bluff, yep.
It was, like you say, it was Alonso got a P3 there in an Alpine that probably shouldn't have been on the podium at that time as well. So there's a few things that happened, but in terms of the racing, it was bad. Like, it was really boring. The only thing that I can think that might make it a bit better is the fact that those were the last of the turbo hybrid era cars, the ones that were notoriously really bad for following in dirty air. Yeah. Whereas these ones are quite a bit better for that, as we have already seen. There is a little bit of a question mark there. Like you say, it is going to be exceptionally hot. The lowest temperature it will be, according to like the weather forecast is 29 degrees, and that's at like the coolest part of the day. It can get could get as hot as 40 degrees during
the daytime.
Daytime. So it's going to be very, very hot. Like you say, the hardest compounds probably still quite a lot of deg. I don't know if they're going to have the same tire blowout issues, but the one thing that will be really hard to judge is the fact, because it is a sprint weekend, they get one practice session. And then they've got to figure it out, because then you got this new sprint shootout, so you don't even get the next free practice on the next day. So you get one practice session, you got a qualifying, you got your sprint stuff on the Saturday, and then you've got the race. They're going to have to do, if someone doesn't get out on the first practice, the only practice session, and has no idea what sort of tire life is on the long runs.
Yeah.
What happens there? So I think it could be like, as much as a sprint weekend, like it feels a bit wasted here, just because the track seems a bit average, below average, a bit shit.
It's a saving grace for the weekend that we do have it here. You can even go deeper on that, right? Your only practice session is during the day, and there's no races during the day. So already you're not going to be in representative conditions.
True.
You've got that second quali for the sprint during the day. So, do you set your car up? I guess you set it up for nighttime because that's when the races are quali, but you could be another team that's going to set up for a hot qualifying and start near the front for the sprint. You could do that. The sprint itself, you can imagine, might be hard to choose what tire to use, because you could use a soft, it's going to get shredded instantly. You could choose a medium, it's maybe going to last a bit longer. And if we're predicting it's going to be even a 2, potentially a 3-stop race with high wear, even if it's hard to follow, hey, we could have similar to Singapore, which sometimes can be tricky, but, we saw those cars combine, like, at the end of the race, and we could have something like that as well here, where teams are trying to, there could be massive undercut potential here. So,
and I think it's almost, I think it is very possible for that as well, because that main straight is very, very long. So like overtaking,
but everywhere else is so tricky. You could get, similar to Singapore, get up to someone, not past them.
Exactly.
And then if they're like a rocket, you could even see Williams do well here if they get their strategy right, because they could rocket down that straight and people can't get past them. So it's where it at least makes it interesting, and that's even what I was saying before. When I think about all those factors, I think, well, what teams can take advantage of that? And then I think, well, each team kind of has their own bit in those conditions. Some of them are better on wear, some of them are better on straight, some of them are better on strategy, and it all kind of means to go, there's a bit of uncertainty here. Even when I was looking online, there was a lot of people just saying there's some close fights out there, and teams are really going to be pushing it, but we don't really know who's going to do well, outside of course, the inevitable title that's likely going to come into play here. Yes. So, I think there's a few other things. Lawson will actually continue for one more weekend. Looks like Ricciardo is taking his time. They basically said US 100% back in shape. Given that he's got the contract in place, again, we talked about this last time. They're just taking it easy
to rush him in.
We would love to see Lawson have another smashing, result, just to still put his name up there. Because we're both hoping to see him there.
What's going to happen is he's going to have his weakest results so far, and everyone's going to forget everything beforehand because they have goldfish brain and be like, see, he's not that great. And then that's...
But surely he won't do worse than Sargent. So maybe a slight addendum there saying that Sargent has to bloody score points this weekend.
If he doesn't get points,
he's out of there. Like, seriously, no.
But everything... I mean, this is talk for later, but like everything I'm seeing is he's gonna get the seat for next year, and I'm like, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know why. I don't get it. Anyway, that's whatever. We're getting ahead of ourselves.
Everyone else is talking about that, yes. But, yes, I guess, look, the thing we might spend a bit of time on, because it's bloody hard, is to do with our predictions. What didn't seem hard is you continuing your success out of last weekend.
Yeah, that's right. I did well.
We both were very close. We both went with the Max. Hey, sometimes I have to second guess to go, did he do it? Yes, it was only that one race he hasn't done it recently. Yes. So we both got it for Max, but you got the correct order between, I guess, the Lando and the podium, where I had him in third, but you had him in second, which was bang on the marks, that we both missed on our other. So you extend your gap even further to where you're now on 31.5, and I am on 30. So I'm still surprised it's this close. It's not like we've manufactured it. This could have stringed out. And yet it's a 1.5 in it.
Yeah, I just have to go my no max one as well. So
you do.
I think there was about a 1.5 maybe a couple of point swing in terms of that as well. So I would say everything going according to my plan, we're going to be pretty much like even. Oh, we're gonna be real 2021 vibes even going into the final.
Yeah. Well, these next two weekends both being sprints means there's a lot of points in play. So I guess we first have to look at the sprint. Again, could be one where you might expect someone that maybe you're not so hot on the race to do better because they may set up the car different, because you can more go for a sprint, and if it's going to be hot, then you can kind of run your car to the max, whereas you might have a car in the race that, needs to be a little more controlled and you're nicer on its tires, etc. With that quali in the morning being in the daytime, in the hottest time, that could change it up. And if it's hard to overtake, then, I don't know. And I guess we are going for P2 as well, assuming that, the obvious, because that's what we've done, and that was exciting last time out for Spa. So I guess we get an inkling on who we think is going to be strong. I don't know. Do you want to go? Do you want me to go? What are we thinking here?
I mean, I can go. I've gone Carlos Sainz for P2.
Okay.
So I don't know how much I feel like that Ferrari has. They still have issues with high deg, but again, like you say, sprint is slightly different. They can sort of be a little bit more aggressive without worrying too much about the tire wear, particularly with the hardest compounds that they're bringing here. And I think I just feel like the Ferrari it's really suited to that style of race, the real short race. I think the longer race, I think they're getting a little bit better with it. Obviously, we saw at Singapore they did quite well with Carlos winning, and I think even the more recent races, the longer races, they've actually done a lot better than previously as well. But particularly the sprint races, I think they very much excel, and I think Carlos is on a bit of a hot streak at the moment. So I think given the chance, he'll probably take P2 over Charles. But it's could be either of them, honestly.
Yep. No, I had him as well for a very similar thought, but I think my thoughts reversed a bit where the drivers that I guess he would have been ahead of, I thought he may actually be weaker in the sprint, because I feel like at this track that car might be quite good. So I may have upped him maybe a little later on, and in his place, I guess we've put the other de facto who's on a bit of a roll, Mr. Lando in the McLaren.
Yep.
Again, maybe. Look, we're getting a bit ahead of things here, just because there is a bit of that swapsies aroundsies. My thinking, I guess, with the Ferrari still being good, but even that McLaren having that edge, having that good start, and then being able to hold people off, where maybe I think their car maybe will not be as strong as the last few races it has been at a circuit like this over a race distance, and the others might prove more of a challenge. But I think in that sprint on Lando's form and the McLaren's form, I feel like they're pretty good in their sprints, no matter where they're at. That's what I've gone with, and I've gone something different because I was fearful we might align, and we were close, but it seems we've been good at picking something different.
Well, there's enough drivers to choose from, I feel like, now, so it's not like it's it's Alonso or it's Perez.
Exactly. We don't just say, it's close for P2, and then we're picking the same thing.
Exactly.
The fact that we are so different shows, we're not just making up crap. We do believe that. But we do, I guess, for our main race now, need to get our wildcard entry in.
I haven't thought about anything outside of the top three, so I've got no idea.
I will get our number in, which will be number 19.
Oh God. There could be some retirements here. I think we could.
Yes.
I don't even think not even necessarily the tire blowouts. I think just the heat. I think this late in the season, the wear on the engines, I think we could have quite a few retirements just from engines just dying.
I think not even the engine or the wear. And again, this track doesn't. It's one of those big runoff circuits. You're not going to get many drivers unless it's total failure running off and hitting something. But they are getting racy out there, so you can see a few people smacking bolts running into each other. I'm gonna go Ocon because I feel like they've been due some. They've had their good luck spurt. Now they've got to go back to getting stuffed. So
while I'm wearing the Ocon Alpine shirt,
that's what was on my mind. I was like, that.
Oh my God, it's unbelievable. I think it will be a retirement. I'm just trying to. And when it's retirements, it's a bit of a crapshoot. Yeah, fuck it. Let's go bold. Why not? End of season. I'm getting cocky. I'm gonna say Charles Leclerc.
Okay, I think that's
retire.
a fair shout.
Yeah, I think either he could get caught up in a tangle on the first lap. Yeah, I don't know the Ferrari reliability. It's been too good recently.
I see what you're saying. Yes.
So I don't know, but yeah, we'll see.
No, that's fair. I think we've got two possible picks there, but
it also alludes to my podium. Yeah.
yes, fair enough. In a shock twist, you've doubled down, so you'll win no matter what.
I put Charles Leclerc at P123 and P19, and if he gets
Hey,
any of them,
I think technically you could with how we have the rules set up.
Technically, haven't disallowed
and
that
would count as your guess for Max not being in there as well. So just rip the Band-Aid off, get it all done, and there you go.
Yeah.
Yes, I suppose, look, going to the predictions from my side, there's no reason that, because, unless we see something news ahead of the time that he's not racing that weekend, Max has got to be P1 for me. I know that you still have a bit of a wild card here. Maybe you think off the back of his title celebrations on Saturday, he's not going to do the Sunday.
No spiel. Get rid of the spiel. He's P1.
Do you know how many things I had prepared for this? That's right, none.
There was never going to be. Qatar was never one of the ones on my mind. I think this year, like you say, I think that Red Bull's going to be. I wonder what you're going to pick. Yeah. I think Max will absolutely kill it.
No, I already know what you're going to pick. I've got it. I just went, oh wait, I've got it. Spoilers. Anyway, that's for later in the year. But P2, P3, I guess I may have alluded a little bit before what I was thinking here, but I guess it's a little bit of a mystery if you've gone the inverse again on what I'm thinking. But I'll go my P2, and that's where I put our boy Sainz. I agree he's on a bit of a roll. I agree. I think that Ferrari will be good here. I don't think they will challenge for the lead in any way, shape, or form. I still think Perez is on some oddball journey through whatever the hell he's trying to figure out here. I think there's maybe a shout that he still could be here because he's normally all right in these tracks. But it's still hard to put money on him. So I think Sainz, I putting money on him last week, didn't pay out. Well, let's double down. Let's try again. But
fair.
I believe you may have gone different unless you just I interpreted your words earlier incorrectly.
Nah, I haven't got Carlos P2 in the race. No, I've got Norris P2. So
to
you for that. So I think the McLaren and Norris in particular have shown that I think they're sort of starting to stand out as that second best team that Aston was. I think they've sort of taken that mantle from Aston that Aston had at the start of the year. I think it's closer than it was. I think, again, Mercedes are weird and just sort of sometimes there whenever they feel like it, whenever they realize their car is good. Ferrari, I think, are they're a lot closer. I think they're a genuine fight with Mercedes as well. But yeah, I think McLaren are just making just enough of a step ahead, and I think this is the type of track that they could do very, very well at. Their top speed has improved as well, as you say, like with the right setup, they can get a good top speed and try not to be as much of a sitting duck down the straight as they were at the start of the year. Yeah, I think it's all good for Norris for P2.
I think it's a safe bet. I won't spend much time on it. But for P3, I have Norris. Hey, it's not much of a surprise here, is it?
There you go.
Same reasons, which is slightly different sides of the coin, but I think it's very close. I think it will be somewhat close. Are you also flipping coins, or are you going for something else?
No, I'm going Piastri P3.
Okay.
I'm
very nice.
Properly backing McLaren. I think
I considered the back-to-back weekends. I did, and then I just looked at the track, and I'm like, I just got something about that Ferrari, but I totally get it.
It's hard because on one hand I'm looking at the tire temperatures and I'm like, Ferrari tire degradation is awful in race trim. It just is. It still is. They're getting better, but it still is. And it's a hot weekend. The The only thing that I think could save them is if they decide to go, let's say everyone decides 2-stop is the way to go, and they're just like, hey, let's try a 3-stop. It ends up working really well. They fight back to the podium. I did consider that. I think that is someone like a Mercedes could do that. I think Mercedes is one of those. Again, it's
Mercedes will do the 1-stop. What do you mean? They'll just...
I think doesn't matter. Russell will try something different. He seems to be the guy that seems to go either 1-stop less or 1-stop more than everyone else, just to try and get a result. I think the Mercedes it just seems like one of those cars on their tires, unless they're in a very particular window. Like, if they can get them in the working window, that car's a fucking beast. It's just so hard to get it and keep it in that window. And I think with these sort of temperatures, I think it's gonna be hard to do that. I feel like Mercedes haven't done particularly well at like tracks with super high temperatures, unless they've gone some weird strategy that have brought them back into play.
Especially with the reduced practice. You feel like the Ferrari and the McLaren seems a lot easier for them to get the setup in the right window. But Mercedes really seem to need a lot of time. So at a weekend which should be really hard to get a setup, with that reduced running, with a session that doesn't really matter, they'd have to get pretty bloody lucky to be the second best out here, I think. I still think they can be consistent. I still expect to see the two of them nipping in a genuine podium chance. But it's hard to put your money, given everything that could be against them really is against them at a weekend like this. So I see your thought pattern. Yeah.
So we'll go with that.
We will. But hopefully, as we say, we hope it will be close throughout the weekend. As we say, it at least means it could be interesting. We could be surprised. Hey, there's tracks in the past that we said this was bad, and then it's proved us wrong.
Dutch Grand Prix, the latest one was incredible. And that
it's
track
true,
was
and that hasn't been that bad since it started. And when you look at it in a vacuum, you go, "This looks like it should be awful." You never know. You never know with F1, and we'll just have to see how it goes.
Every race feels like it's had something, so maybe we just keep hoping for that. Yeah,
it's true. We're still excited for it. It's nice. It does feel like it's been ages, but I think that's just because we've both been really busy. So it's nice to get back into being excited for it. It's not far away now. So let us know, I guess, what you guys are thinking in terms of who will do strong, who will do weak, if you've got any blindside predictions. Otherwise, we'll be back right afterwards for our debrief of hopefully an exciting weekend. But until then, we shall catch you next time. Take care.
Bye-bye.